Have you ever noticed the silence that precedes an extraordinary event? Not the phony silence, not the courteous applause, not the meaningless sounds humans make to feel alive. That crushing quiet is what I mean. The kind where everyone is staring at you, observing, judging, and waiting. Yes, that particular moment. It's where most people break. They tremble when they speak. They tremble when they speak. They lose their mask without even get a labor. You stood there as if you were accustomed to pandemonium, as if breathing in pressure were enjoyable. Every word you said seemed like it was cruel, surgical, and well planned. And those dusties came in loud and arrogant, believing they could rattle, shake, and drag you down into their tiny circus. You didn't play their game, though. It was rewritten by you. Their cacophony became your beat. Clear's throat. They cast doubt on you. You were already 10 steps ahead of them, taking them apart piece by piece without even raising your voice, while they were preoccupied with underestimating you. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence. That was control, pure, unreserved control. Have you ever found yourself in a situation when everything seems to stop? Not because the world is peaceful, but rather because it is silently observing, waiting, and gauging you. There is more to that stillness. It's loaded. It's a silence so dense that you can practically hear your own thoughts betraying you. It's pressure, anticipation, and distrust. There, the majority of individuals panic. They hurry to fill it. Before anyone even asks for evidence, they begin talking too quickly and loudly in an attempt to prove anything. They believe that power comes from loudness. It's not. It's a cheap mask for despair. When you take your time breaking that quiet, real control begins. When you allow them to share a seat with you, because that's where things start to change. It begins to work for you the moment you stop being terrified of the silence. You're drawing their attention closer and closer with each second you hold it, like a noose they're not even aware is closing. Their gaze lingers on you. Their voices became more audible. They begin to wonder, what's he about to do? What's coming next? Suddenly, you've taken over the room without even speaking. You see, people are exposed by quiet. It removes all the false self-assurance, practice lines, and small masks that individuals put on. Most people find it intolerable. They fidget. They scan their surroundings. They break. However, you are no longer merely in the room if you are able to remain motionless in that instant and breathe as though it were your own. It's yours. Without asking permission, you take center stage. They don't teach you that. You choose to speak it. It's in. Additionally, you grow more dangerous the longer you maintain that quiet, because everything you're going to say now has significance. It's no longer just sound, it's effect, it's accuracy. You're not responding to the crowd. Their attention rhythm is under your control. When they feel tension, when they sense release, and when they lean in are all up to you. You're not giving a performance for them. You're having fun with them. You're having fun with them. Most people attempt to use volume to dominate. They believe that being louder equates to strength. However, true dominance is colder and quieter. It's the capacity to be silent while keeping everyone focused as if you've already covered everything. It's realizing that you don't have to pursue attention due to the fact that attention is already stuck, awaiting your next action. It's not your adversary, that stillness. You can use it as a weapon. People stop viewing you as just another voice in the throng and begin to feel something they can't quite put their finger on after you stop being afraid of it and begin to own it. Something that forces individuals to pay attention whether they want to or not. It's funny, isn't pressure? People discuss it as if it were some sort of monster that lurks in the shadows, ready to smash you the moment the spotlight comes on. They can feel it, squeezing their chest, sending shivers up their spine, and jumbling their brains until all they had planned simply falls apart. It's there in their eyes, that little moment of panic when self-control gives way to instinct. At that point, rather than making a decision, they begin to react. They lose at that point. Because pressure reveals people rather than breaking them. It exposes the true nature of all the chatter, all the posturing, and all the confidence. And the majority of folks aren't prepared for it. They've been at ease for far too long, practicing in secure environments and telling themselves they're in charge until reality intervenes and demands evidence, and all of a sudden they are no longer in the lead. They are pursuing. Chasing words, chasing poise, chasing anything that keeps them from sinking. However, you don't view pressure as a threat. You don't struggle with it. You don't flee from it. Your next course of action is not determined by it. You allowed it to enter. You give it nothing while it sits there with you, breathing the same air and attempting to elicit a response. Don't panic. Don't hurry. Not a crack. Just maintain control. Cold, unwavering control. You see, responding is simple. Anyone can respond. You defend yourself. When someone casts doubt on you, when someone tries to shake you, you become tight. It's instinctive. It's survival. It's instinctive. Control is not the same. Control is the ability to stop when your entire being begs to go. It implies that you make your own decisions rather than letting the situation dictate how you react. It indicates that you are aware that you are not under pressure. You can bend it, and everything changes when you come to that realization. Pressure now turns into gasoline. Energy is the constricted sensation in your chest. That pounding heartbeat is momentum that needs to be focused. You're going deeper into the moment while everyone else is attempting to relax and get away from it. It's being used by you, focusing more intently, slowing things down while everyone else feels as though the world is moving more quickly. The gap appears there. That's where you set yourself apart, because you're making decisions as they're responding. You're putting your words right where they're most impactful when they're stuttering. You're carrying the moment as if it were meant for you while they're overcome by its weight. The most bizarre aspect is that it appears effortless from the outside, as if you're not even impacted by it. In your reality, pressure simply doesn't exist. However, it does. You simply do not allow it to dictate the story. In the calmest way imaginable, you become unpredictable. When they expect you to hurry, you don't. When they expect you to hurry, you don't. You remain steadfast, methodical, and almost unnervingly calm. And that's what enters their minds. Because they are now dealing with more than simply pressure. You are being dealt with by them. People want to act as though they detest chaos. They pretend to want things to be orderly, predictable, and under control. Well thought out strategies, tidy results, and secure small spaces where nothing unexpected ever occurs. However, the truth is that most of them disintegrate as soon as turmoil appears. Because what they believed to be their control was a lie. Only when nothing resisted did it work. Chaos doesn't seek consent. It is noisy, disorganized, and unpredictable. It flips the script, destroys plans, and reveals every vulnerability you attempted to conceal. It's the time when things don't go your way, when others begin to distrust you. Most people lose themselves in that situation. To feel like they're doing something, they begin to swing wildly, react emotionally, and make snap decisions. However, what they're actually doing is demonstrating that they were never in charge in the first place. However, you are unable to withstand pandemonium. You research it, you observe how it moves, disturbs, and upsets everyone else, and you begin to shape it rather than being pulled into it. You come to a realization that most people would never comprehend. Chaos is not haphazard. To others who are unable to read it, it simply appears that way. There's a rhythm and a structure beneath all that cacophony. You can begin playing with it as soon as you see it. This is when computation is useful, not the apparent kind, not rigid, automated planning that falters the moment something shifts. Calculation is flexible in real life. It adjusts. It maintains its path while changing with the times. You're not attempting to incorporate chaos into a strategy. You're creating a strategy that flourishes in an environment of turmoil. You don't rush any of your actions. It's deliberate. Every response you don't offer has the same impact as the ones you do. You're watching while others are overburdened. You're positioning while they're scrambling. You're allowing them to wear themselves out and expose their habits, routines, and desperation. You then make a move. Not emotionally, not madly, but exactly. It's as if you've been anticipating that precise moment all along. It's unnerving because of that. Because you don't appear to be enduring turmoil from the outside. You appear to be in charge of it. It's all a part of your design, including the chaos, noise, and unpredictability. They are unable to distinguish between your goal and randomness, and they are consumed by that uncertainty. You become the storm itself instead of just being a victim of it. Every interruption turns into a chance, every unexpected turn into a setup. You take something that was supposed to break you and transform it into something that puts pressure on everyone else. And you get more at ease the more chaotic things get, the more dangerous you get, because you are now actively creating your surrounding, they're responding to them. You're transforming chaos into order, confusion into clarity, and noise into strategy. And while everyone else is attempting to flee the mayhem, you are in the center of it, cool under pressure, and fully in charge of what happens next. Doubt is present everywhere, isn't it? Like a foul odor that no one wants to acknowledge. It floats around in the atmosphere. You can sense it even though people don't always express it verbally. Their smiles, their looks, and the way they speak, just loud enough for you to hear them. They assess you, compare you to their own limitations, and determine your potential based on what they would never be able to accomplish. The ironic thing is that most people allow that to affect them. They recoil, hesitate, and question every action as if those beliefs had suddenly become reality. They lose there. It's not really about you, uncertainty. It's a projection, a mirror of their own uncertainty, fear, and incapacity to deal with the kind of pressure you're under. However, most people absorb it rather than perceiving it for what it is. They have it with them. They allow it to burden them until it becomes an integral part of who they are. And without even realizing it, they begin to play a little after that. You don't carry it, though. You make advantage of it. Every glance, murmur, and silent belief that you are insufficient doesn't slow you down. Rather, it sharpens you. It becomes gasoline, something colder and more controlled instead of the noisy, explosive variety that burns out quickly. Something that pushes you forward without having to be seen. Doubters are predictable, you begin to realize. They consistently appear at the same times, just before a major event, as soon as the pressure increases, when the stakes are high, because they don't comprehend you, they don't have faith in you, and you have an edge because of that ignorance, because you're working without opposition while they're busy underestimating you. They're not getting ready for you. They're not making accommodations for you. They've already determined that you pose no threat, and that's precisely what makes you dangerous. You don't dispute with them. You don't try to use words to disprove them. They anticipate that. Everyone acts in this manner. Rather, you let them to hold whatever beliefs they choose. You allow them to be at ease with their presumptions. You then make a move, silently, accurately, and successfully. Because they didn't anticipate it, every move you take starts to hit harder. They never anticipated you would take it, so every step you take feels greater. And gradually, the uncertainty they were experiencing began to uncertainty, discomfort, and then something heavier that they were unable to ignore. However, it's already too late when they realize it, because you're building on their doubt rather than responding to it. You're utilizing it as a starting point and baseline to make your ascent appear even more spectacular and convincing. When you move, you appear higher, the lower they put you, and everything is amplified by that contrast. You turn into the incomprehensible paradox. The person they dismissed is now in charge of the space. It is now hard to ignore the one they ignored. And the more they attempt to interpret it, the more uneasy they become, because it makes them face what they have been avoiding all along, that they were mistaken. You didn't need to inform them of it. The term that unnerves people is unpredictable, not loud, not combative, nor even strong, erratic, because strength is something that people can handle. They can get ready for self-assurance. If they anticipate aggression, they can even prevent it. However, control begins to elude them when they are unable to read something or mentally plan it out before it occurs. The majority of people are simple to understand. Without recognizing it, they adhere to patterns, the same tone, pace, and reactions. They react precisely as you anticipate when you push them in a particular way. It's practically dull. Before they make their next move, you can see it. Additionally, they are easier to handle when they are more predictable. However, no one is comforted by you. You don't respond as they anticipate. They have previously drafted a screenplay for you, but you don't follow it. You remain mute when they expect you to say something. You move when they believe you'll hesitate. You provide them with tranquility when they anticipate feeling anything. And you entirely change the energy when they're ready to relax. Not haphazardly, not erratically, but consciously. Every move, stop, and switch is positioned just where it causes the greatest disruption to them. That's the distinction. You're not being erratic just to be erratic. You're deliberately being unreadable. People can't get ready for you once they can't read you. Additionally, they begin to doubt themselves when they are unable to prepare. Their self-assurance wanes. They react more slowly. Instead of acting, they begin to consider. They lose everything when they hesitate in situations that call for instinct. That hesitancy is your fault. You turn into the uncontrollable variable, the element that their calculations do not account for. Additionally, the more they want to comprehend you, the more you elude them. They are irritated by it. They become unbalanced as a result. It puts them in a situation where they are no longer in charge. They're responding to you, and that's where the change takes place. Because you are now controlling the moment rather than merely being a part of it. Every action you take is significant not just because of its nature, but also because it caught them off guard. It lasts longer, feels sharper, and strikes harder. Additionally, tension exists even when you're doing nothing. Anticipation is present. They're observing, waiting, and attempting to guess what you'll do next. And they are confined by that ambiguity. Clears throat. Dominance doesn't require loudness. To prove something, you don't have to present everything. In actuality, you have greater authority the less they comprehend you. You take advantage of mystery. You can use silence as a tool. You use timing as a weapon. You decide what to disclose and what to keep hidden. It is up to you to choose when to speed up and slow down. They are also unable to keep up because there is no discernible rhythm or pattern. They consistently react a bit too late and are always one step behind. You also get farther ahead the harder they try to catch you. Not because you're quicker, not because you're more powerful. However, you're working at a level that they are unable to anticipate, control, or predict. You are untouchable because of this. Validation is that cute little addiction that people pass off as self-assurance. They depend on it like oxygen, chase it without realizing it, and need it without acknowledging it. A nod from the audience, a timely applause, and noise-encapsulated approval. The majority of individuals base themselves on it, and they go as soon as it does. They become less energetic. Their voice becomes weaker. It seems as though their presence never existed in the first place. If your strength is derived from being noticed, it vanishes as soon as no one is watching. The trap is that most people ask for permission as soon as they enter a room. Naturally not allowed. They would never acknowledge that. However, it's evident in the way they walk, speak, and continuously scan the room for responses. They modify themselves to suit their perception of what others desire. To remain accepted, they soften their edges and water down their statements. And in doing so, they lose the one thing that truly gives them strength: genuineness without fear. You don't ask, though. You don't wait for approval before taking action. You don't gauge the comfort of others with your words. You talk because you made the decision to do so. You move because you made the decision to do so. Furthermore, you are unaffected by the room's agreement, disagreement, or total silence. Real dominance starts there, because you become dangerous in unexpected ways when you don't require approval. You are not bound by their responses. Their opinions don't control. You are not elevated by their applause. Furthermore, you are not diminished by their quiet. They find it unsettling that you live according to your own terms. They have no idea how to deal with someone who isn't giving them their best. They test you first. They attempt to see if you'll give in and start pursuing their approval like everyone else. So they suppress their feelings and remain silent. However, you don't. You don't change. Unaffected, steady, and grounded. You don't change, and the transition begins at that point. Since they are now responding to you, they lean in because they feel something they can't quite put their finger on, not because you ask them to. It's no longer about agreeing with you or liking you. It has to do with your presence, the assurance, the absence of necessity. You are not there to make an impression on them, and for some reason, that makes it impossible to ignore you. You become something apart from the throng and cease to be a part of it. Because your words aren't tainted by fear, they have a different impact. Because your activities are independent of acceptance, they have greater weight, and you reinforce something potent. Every second you resist bending to the room, and every moment you keep that energy, that even without their consent, you are sufficient. And when people begin to doubt themselves, that realization spreads. They become aware of how much they depend on approval, how frequently they adapt, and how easily they give in to pressure. And it makes them face that vulnerability when they are standing next to someone who doesn't. Calling it out is not necessary. You don't have to describe it. They sense it. Additionally, you acquire greater control the more they sense it.